and I did not get dinner yet. And in my time zone, it is past dinner time. So any rumbling noises you hear over the microphone, just be gracious. So, all right. All right, and I believe everybody should come in auto muted if you are. Yeah, it looks like everybody's muted. That's great. That just keeps a little feedback and things happening and going on. I am hosting, I am speaking, I am watching the chat, I am running the tech, I am doing all the things. So I'm going to try to do all the things efficiently. To help me out, if you have a question, please in the chat, put question in all caps at the front, and that lets me try to catch that a little bit better if, maybe there's a lot of chatter going on, which is totally fine. You're at a conference, you're welcome to chat and chatter and network and do all the things. Just make sure that if you have a question you would like me to address, we'll go ahead and make that visible for me. Okay, and we are being recorded, and let's get started. All right. So I need to be honest, the session exists because I wanted someone to do this session for me. Nobody was doing this session for me, so I wrote the session, kind of like you write the story that you want to read sort of thing, except I'm better at writing the stories that I want to read. Nobody magically gave me all the answers just because I was writing the session. So I'm going to tell you, we're going to work through, what was coming to mind for me as I was working on this. But absolutely, this is, if we were live, all in person, hanging out in the same room, I would be very like, guys, this can be a discussion thing here as well. So please feel free to chime in the chat. We're hopefully going to have some time at the end that we can do, a little bit more open discussion. I am not at all pretending to have all the answers here. I, at this point, don't even have my second slide. Please, there we go. Okay, so I'm not even remotely pretending to be like handing this down from a place of authority. This is me exploring and asking people to, come along with me and tell me if you think we're going the right direction. So, okay. So there we go. Very quickly, this is kind of the idea of what we're going to be working through today with this concept of what I do with the middle of my career. And I just want to quickly, if you don't know me, which would probably be most of you, I'm not even Canadian. Like, why would you know me well? This is something somebody said to me recently when I was doing some writing coaching, and it's one of my, I just loved this piece of feedback because this is how I try to work. Like when I need to say something that's a little bit of tough love, but I want to say it with a lot of love and a lot of honesty, and also in a way that's not too hard to hear, right? So that's what I'm aiming for here. However, sometimes when we're talking about things that involve identity, like I see myself as a writer, and I would like to continue to see myself as a writer. I would love to see myself as a successful writer, right? So sometimes things can get a little bit, they can feel personal when they're not meant to be personal. So I'm just putting up front with this, I'm going to make some jokes in this session. Those jokes are not directed at, like, guys, those jokes are, I am the butt of these jokes as much as anyone might actually be the butt of these jokes. So just understand, and I don't think there's that much in here that's going to be honestly offensive, but if you came here because you were feeling a little tender about this area, you're in good company, guys. Like, yeah, this is it. Just as I put on here, there's a reason I wrote this talk, and the reason is me. Okay, this is not me having all the answers. So yeah, with that great intro, let's get started. Okay, sometimes it can feel like we've set everything up and it didn't go exactly as planned, and maybe we're not progressing the way we expected to in our writing career. So yeah, this is, I shared this GIF with a friend while I was putting this talk together, and I think this really resonated with some of us, as I got started. Good. Then know what? So I just want to work through things like, sometimes I might have started my writing career, but it doesn't feel like I have made it, and heavy air quotes on the made it, or literal quotes here on the slide. so maybe I have some books out already. I've got some short stories that I've sold in various anthologies. So maybe I got shortlisted for an award. That's pretty good stuff, right? Maybe I even won some awards. Okay, so surely I have a writing career and it's on its path and it's well way. The idea is whatever our markers might be, we feel like I've gotten started. I got over the hurdle, that when in our earlier aspiring author days, it felt like, oh, if only I can just get published, right? So when that finally happens, we're like, now everything should be smooth sailing. I got published, hooray! But that didn't actually happen. Why am I not a household name like Stephen King or J.K. Rowling or Nora Roberts? And where is the fame and the fortune? And why am I not rolling around in money like Scrooge McDuck and, and all of these things? And so that's what we're going to look at is where do I go when this did not automatically happen? And I'm just going to point out, we are going to need goals. Okay, Brandy says, my current made it goal is making some money off my books every month, LOL. That is not even LOL. That is a completely legitimate goal. And we're going to talk about setting goals and adjusting our goals as we go. So yeah, absolutely throw that stuff in the chat. But here's the thing, we need a lot of goals. And I love that Brandy said that is my household name is Mom, Lindy. It's great. I love that Brandy said that because a lot of times we come in with like, well, yes, I have goals. I want that Oprah recommendation. I want that Netflix adaptation, right? I have goals. No, actually, I'm going to need a few more goals than just the ultimate goals, whatever those are. And if we don't have goals, we don't know what we're achieving. So goals are pretty critical. So back up, I'm assuming if you came to a talk about the middle of my career, then you're probably feeling on some level like you have already embarked on this career. And so part of the reason that this feels boggy and stuck sometimes is that, like, no, I know better. I'm not a complete novice. I don't make novice mistakes and I did everything right. And, and this kind of thing. And I'm not in any way throwing shade at aspiring authors, novice authors. Okay, that is not at all where I'm going with this. But sometimes we can look from a place of more experience and say, but I'm making better choices now, right? And I have this quote here, and this is, an actual quote, not trackable to protect the guilty, but this is an actual quote. And we know that sometimes we do start with completely unrealistic expectations. And I'm not going to launch my first book and be an independent full-time author in 48 hours. Like that's probably not going to happen. And so since I'm making, better and real more realistic choices, what's going wrong with this? And just a real quick reality check. And I'll be honest, these figures are a couple of years old. I pulled these from some older research I had. I did not update these this week because nothing else was happening this week. But realistically speaking, we need to have better expectations, and we know that we do have better expectations. I'm not going to make a living after my book's been on sale for 48 hours. And so if these figures are new to you, and again, these are a couple of years out of date, don't worry about that. The general concept is the same. This is not a one-way ticket to money printing, right? And we know that we have a good idea of that. So it goes back to, well, then what are my goals? What can I set? What can I reasonably expect? And how do I know when I'm getting that? And a big thing that I'm going to emphasize here is we need to be doing a lot of self-assessment and a lot of goals so that we know when we're making progress. Because if I just define it as, when do I get my Netflix adaptation? Or if I define it as making money, first of all, those goals are so ridiculously far apart. There's no way to measure what happens in between, right? Secondly, making money is actually pretty vague. Like, does that mean I'm going to pop the champagne at, $2? Or, when I make the $12 a month, am I going to say, oh no, that's not what I meant. I need to make real money. Well, now I'm delaying success for myself, and I'm moving my own goalposts and lying to myself. And these are things that are not going to work out for healthy self relationships as a working partnership, right? So let me jump in. I like this conversation. If anybody's read this from Alice in Wonderland, where should I go depends on where I want to get to. Well, I don't much care where, then it doesn't matter which way you go. And again, I'm just coming back to a lot of times our goals, our desires, our aspirations are too vague to be really useful, or they're vague enough that allow us to cheat ourselves. So, like I just said, I want to make money. No, I want to make more money. I would like to make real money. Well, real money is now defined as, okay, and so we just keep moving our goalposts so we don't ever actually get to be successful. And it is fine to be successful and then to set a new goal. Like that's fine. But we cheat ourselves. So I said that this is a lot about me. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got here. So it's hard to define when a writing career starts. I was writing and getting paid, so I guess technically professional, for small local papers, or winning writing contests at school, or anything, any number of things. And what do these count and what don't count? Who knows? But where I tend to start, like my writing career as I define it, my first professional sale to a legitimate traditional publisher happened in 2008. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be a real author now, right? This is the thing. I'm so cool. Some of you might recall that in 2008, there was a bit of a blip on the economic screen. And yes, we had a recession. We had a major recession worldwide. Lots of things happened, including that traditional publishing house shelved a lot of projects because finances were tight. That means my project sat in contract carbonite for the next 3 years until my contract expired. So there was my hooray, my traditional sale. Didn't actually ever get me published, and I never actually got paid for that. But I could say that I had sold it, kind of. I at least had gotten a contract out of it. So a year after I had gotten it back and time had passed, and I said, you know what, it was good enough to sell the first time. I'm going to self-publish it. And so I did self-publish it. And that was my first self-published work in 2012. Guys, my first month of self-publishing, I actually made money. Royalty check. Oh my gosh, $12 and change. This is what I felt like. Look at me. Okay, I'm rolling around in cash. Okay, I didn't quite feel like Scrooge McDuck, but I did feel like, oh wow, this worked, right? This actually worked out. I did it right. So here's the thing. Was I happy? Was I successful? Absolutely. Like I had a self-published book. It actually won a small local award. It was things were happening. But with a $12, first royalty check, it was pretty easy to say, okay, now I will move up, right? Like that is, I started at a very achievable place, and then now I can set my expectations higher. And so we're going to take those goals and we're going to set them further ahead, and there we go. So now jump forward, and I'm going to say probably 6 or 8 months. I'm going to release my second self-published book. It did a little better. And when I say it did a little better, a few years after that book was published, it paid for my car. That is so cool. And guys, I don't mean to downplay this in any way. I was ridiculously stoked about that book's success. I am still stoked about that book's success. And in no part of this am I ever going to try to sound ungrateful, because I am not. I am very, very grateful. But that huge gap from point A to point B. Where do I go? What possibly could be point C, right? After that, from hooray, I actually got a check to I bought a car. And I will tell you, I haven't hit point C yet. Okay. That book, that second book, that is still my bestseller. It is still my most successful book, if we're talking about commercial success. And I'm not anywhere close to achieving that with my most recent release. And what if all of my best success is behind me and it's just all downhill from here? Okay. That was in 2013 and I haven't matched up to that yet. And so there's, and I'm not saying don't be grateful for success, and definitely I am really grateful for that. But don't sit there and think, well, the answer and the happiness and all of my aspirations will be achieved if only. Because every point of the journey has struggles, and mine right now is, what if I've peaked? What if that was it? I got nothing else. There we go. My work is behind me at this point. There are some universal truths as we're working through careers and discovering things, and I just want to mention these because it's important to recognize them and keep them in our heads, in our perspective. One is, we will always make larger improvements at the front end of learning a skill. If you think about, I'm learning to walk. Okay, you're going to make much bigger leaps of success when you're, learning to walk or learning to run as a toddler than you will as a marathoner, fine-tuning to get an extra 30 seconds off your time. Okay, you're doing a ton of work to get that tiny little difference versus the beginning, you were making enormous strides. And you're like, well, how can I compare a marathoner to a toddler? That's my point. Okay, at those different, even if we're technically calling it the same skill, we are at massively different points in the process, and one of them you're going to make leaps and bounds. So yeah, Brandy says, I can't remember who said it, but someone said, your success is half chance, so is everybody else's. Yeah, and I think I'm going to talk a little bit later about what role luck plays. And, I think it's, being prepared and being ready to take advantage of opportunity is huge, and we can't discount that. But also, I can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to wait for this to fall in my lap. And if it doesn't, I guess it wasn't meant to be. But also, I did everything right. Now, where's my massive success? Okay, that neither of those is a really supportable view. So just to point this out, and this is not something that can actually be rendered authentically in math, but I'm going to do my best here just for a representation. If I move from point 1 to point 2, or let's say a whole number of 1 to a whole number of 2, that's 100% improvement. Okay, I have leapt forward 100%. But if I move from a 5 to a 6, that's only 20% improvement. Even though I'm further down the line, I'm technically better at whatever it is I'm doing, but I'm just now making more and more marginal improvements. This is important because this is why, for example, conferences or critique groups or editing or coaching or any of these things feel less amazing as you get further into them than they did at the beginning. Your first time you go to a conference and you're like, oh, wow, like my mind is blown by every session I go to. And then later you go to a conference and you're going to pick out a nugget here, and you're going to pick out a point there. And it's not that the conference isn't good, it's that you're coming in from a different place. Okay, so you're picking things up in a different place. So you're frequently, those early successes feel huge, or those early experiences feel huge. And then later, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to get as much out of this conference, or, oh, that's not where I was going. Where this comes and attacks us in our own career land is at the beginning, we're like, oh my gosh, I sold 4 books, not to my mom. And it's huge. It's so big. But then further on, we're like, oh man, I only made it to 45 in category. And okay, do you know what body parts I would cut off to hit 45 in category? Okay, like these are things that we need to keep in perspective. So, oh, nice, Sandy. She says, I went from barely getting replies from editors to being able to resubmit a few months ago to an ADHD magazine. And my article they published was one of their most viewed articles. That feels great. That's awesome. Yeah. And so just keeping in mind what, those points are, don't let yourself get jaded by, well, this doesn't feel like it did at the beginning. It can't feel like it did at the beginning. You're not the person you were at the beginning. You're an author working from a different place. It doesn't mean that it's not success, and it doesn't mean that it's not awesome. It just means that it won't feel like the first time because it's not the first time. So, okay, let's think a little bit about where we're going and where we've been. And it's all about, I'm just going to cut to the chase. It's all about perspective. It's all about being able to look at things and see, keep in mind, what does this mean to me now? What did this mean to me when I first set this goal? And I was looking at it as something from far away instead of from something that's very near or now even behind me. Excuse me. And what can I do to keep that sense of, freshness and wonder and joy at whatever this achievement is, while also continuing to set new goals for myself. And a lot of this is, if you came here with, well, I want the 3 top tactics for boosting sales after book 7 or something like that, I'm sorry, I don't have that. I don't know if anybody actually does have that. There are lots of strategies that we know. There are lots of things, but as far as like, just give me the checklist to make this happen, I'm sorry, I can't give you that. What I can tell you is these are things to help me and possibly to help you stay sane and happy while I'm trying to find the magic wand. Okay. So context matters hugely, perspective matters hugely, and it's something that we actually have a lot more choice about than we sometimes think we have. There's a lot of feeling of, well, my feelings are just my feelings, and I don't control my emotions, and I don't control. No, that's not true. You have all kinds of choice on these things, and you can remind yourself where you came from, and you can remind yourself what your goals are, and not be led by what's happening around you. So, and as I mentioned here on the slide, I've known people to, they had books that were making hundreds of dollars a month, and then they got a bad review and they're like, oh, now I'm unpublishing this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, do not let a bad feeling bully you like that. Okay. Just go eat some chocolate and leave the book up. Right. And I get it. It's hard. Like, we've all gotten bad reviews, but keep things in perspective. There was a time when I would have been absolutely thrilled to get a review, even a bad review, because it meant somebody had read the thing, right? So, and if my day job is in behavior, so this is something that I spend a lot of time with. We spend so much more mental energy focusing on aversives and, what I'm going to just shorthand here as negative stuff, than we do as positive stuff. So if I get 10 good reviews and 1 bad review, guess which one sticks in my brain? And that's just the way we are, partly wired biologically, but largely wired culturally. And we can choose to assess, which of these actually deserves, the weight, which of these deserves my time and energy. And I'm not saying ignore feedback. If it's valid feedback, take it, learn from it. But I don't have to let it blow those other 10 reviews out of the water as if they don't exist. So the other thing that we tend to do as authors is we get distracted by what are often called vanity metrics, meaning numbers that feel like they should matter that actually don't matter. And so one common vanity metric I'll just use as an example, it would be, how many Twitter followers do I have? And this feels important because it feels like a measure of popularity. And especially when social media was just kind of on its major rise and publishers were trying to figure out, how do I minimize risk while I'm selecting new authors to publish? And social media metrics felt like, it goes into fast and slow thinking and all that really cool stuff, but social media metrics feel like a way to assess an author's likely success. The author with the bigger numbers is going to be more successful, and that doesn't actually work that way. But It's an easier thing to look at. So it feels that's the one we feel like we're going to look at. But what that means is if my numbers aren't huge, if I don't have a ridiculous number of Twitter followers, it feels like I'm not achieving things as an author. And that's Twitter followers don't actually predict sales at all. And maybe a tiny bit, maybe like 2% effective. I don't know what, but it's not, it's certainly not something that I should be spending my time on when I could be working on other things. And I'm not saying don't do Twitter. I'm saying don't worry about your follower count. Oh no, I lost a follower this week. Who freaking cares? Okay. So what we want to do is work out what goals actually matter. How are we going to get to those goals? What are we going to use to assess our progress that is a better metric than what we may have been conditioned unintentionally or intentionally to focus on? I hope that's making sense. So things that I just put in here in 3 categories. Things I don't care about, how many Twitter followers, as I just was speaking. The New York Times bestseller list, no shade to people on it. I know some people who have that in their resume, fantastic, but it's not actually based on sales data. It's based a little bit on sales data and a lot on a bunch of suits sitting around a table making decisions about who they want to promote this week and a bunch of other things. And it's not the best indicator of, quality or success or something. Is it culturally significant? Probably. Is it significant in measuring a career? Maybe. Okay. Things I sometimes care about, but really shouldn't care about. Oh, my friend just, got this option for a TV series and a movie adaptation. I have two colleagues who got this in a week, and I'm just staring at my social media like, I'm so happy for you. Okay. That is not something that I need to spend my time and energy being, and legitimately happy for them. Okay. Let me emphasize that, legitimately happy for those people. But also, there's a little bit of, I keep putting in the time and the energy, and where's my TV series? Okay. And that's not a great use of my resources. Really, it's not. The bad review, does that bad review have useful feedback for me? Did they feel misled in the marketing? Did they feel the characterization, flopped in the last third or something? Hey, I need to take that information and use it. Okay, so make my customer happy like any good business person. Is that just a cranky person who's really mad because, it turned out that my angsty epic fantasy wasn't a romantic comedy and that's what they wanted? Great, they're entitled to their opinion. Now we all both move on with our lives. Okay, so things I do care about, metrics that actually do matter and are a better predictor of success. How many newsletter subscribers I have. Okay, that's a number that I can track that is more useful than how many Twitter followers I have. What's my read through on my series? How many people who pick up book 1 will read book 2 and then book 3? If I have a drop off of 80%, that's significant information, right? How many pre-orders am I getting on these books? That tells me how people are excited about it, or whether or not I'm doing a good job of making people aware that it exists. Good reviews. I'm going to celebrate my own successes too. It's like, and not that I'm just going to say, well, I got a good review, so no bad reviews count. Again, I want to take feedback from my bad reviews, but my good reviews deserve every bit as much attention as I will give a bad review, even though that's not culturally what we want to do. And some awards are really valid. Some awards are, hooray, I'm a magnet on my mom's fridge, or whatever. But some awards do carry a little bit more weight, and I am going to be really excited about a shortlist for that, or winning that, or whatever. So there we go. And where I'm going with this is we can choose what to focus on. We can choose what matters to us, and if it's something that is less important, I'm not in any way saying we just throw stuff away and we don't practice gratitude for the good stuff that happens. If I get somebody quote tweets me and I get some new followers, I'm not going to be like, well, none of this matters. No, I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to appreciate it like a civilized adult. And, if it's not going to happen, but if I hit the New York Times bestseller list this week, first of all, I'm going to kind of wonder what I'm drinking and I need to put it down. But secondly, I'm going to be thrilled and thank people and be happy and not poo-poo it. And I'm definitely not going to poo-poo it in front of authors who are maybe not as far along in their career. This is not something where I don't think it's helpful. And I think we just need to be really conscious about, oh no, like I only launched at number 100. It's not, it was a failure. That's not something I want to say in somebody who's working on getting their stuff out there. Okay. Like let's not set weird expectations and not devalue other kinds of success. Yeah, but it ultimately comes down to, I need to focus on what's important to me. Now, here's the important thing about our careers. Even if we all got here in this room because, I'm in the middle of my career, and whatever brought us here, we could have, how many people do we have in here? We have 17 people in this room at this moment. We probably have 16 or 19 definitions of success working in here, and that's great, because there is not one way to make progress. There is not one way to make it, whatever it might be. And we can recognize that those differences exist and celebrate them in ourselves and in others without it being a competition and without us feeling like, well, I didn't make success because what I wanted to do and what she wanted to do weren't actually the same. But now when I'm looking at it, they don't look alike. So one of us must be wrong. Excuse me. Oh no, Danielle says, which book was your second one? You have a lot on your website. I do, but I didn't really come here to say like, hey, this is the book that bought me my car. Like that wasn't supposed to be where that was going. It was Fired Up, if that matters. I'm not trying to be coy either. That definitely didn't come in as like a shill. So sorry. Okay. Here's the important question. This is what depending on how far into the middle of your career you are, this is where a lot of people are, is okay, but am I a real author yet? Okay. So I've sold my first short story. I've sold my first book. I've actually got 5 short stories out now, or whatever it might be. At what point do I become a real author? Okay. Sorry, guys. I wasn't trying to be coy about the book. I just, that wasn't like the emphasis I was going for either. So if that was distracting or rude, then I apologize. That wasn't where I was trying to go. So I was talking about NaNoWriMo earlier today on another panel, and I'm going to be clear. I love Nano. I love the way it motivates people and it provides group energy, and it does a lot to support people who aren't quite ready to take a step without, a bunch of, community handholding. So let me say, I am definitely in favor of Nano. I will be doing Nano yet again, all of these things. One of the things that I'm not crazy about with NaNoWriMo is that they deliberately blur the distinction between, hey, congratulations, you have written 50,000 words in a first draft, and you are and I'm just going to be deliberately over the top here, you are a real author. Okay. And we can quibble about terminology another time. I'm just trying to be efficient at this point. And I think I get what they're doing. They want people to celebrate that success. I do too. All of that is great. However, if you have some published material, yes, you can have an additional achievement, okay? You can have another badge. You have done more work. You have done the revisions. You have done the submitting, or the effort that it took to do self-publishing and all of those things. So that's something I'm going to quibble about just a little bit with them is, it's not that we shouldn't celebrate writing 50,000 words in a month, because that is a thing that, that you put real work into and that deserves a badge. It's just that there's also another badge for being a published author. And as long as we're on my personal therapy session, let me take you back to a holiday and recently, this is Christmas 2019. And I accepted a date for a book signing. in part because of the timing, because I knew I was going to a family holiday party where, maybe my career wasn't the most respected. And so I was like, it's fine. It's fine. I will come directly. I will do the signing. I will get on the plane. I will fly directly to the city with the party and go directly from the plane to the holiday party. And then people will respect me because I had an interstate signing on that day. I'm so dumb. Anyway, I got off the plane. I got, from the airport to the house that was hosting the holiday party. And as I walked in, the very first thing that the host says to me, she comes up to me and she's like, "Oh yeah, you made it. Yeah. So you were at a book signing earlier today." She's like, "Yeah, I have friends who have written books, and they're not selling books or doing anything, but it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing." And I was like, okay, like, not going to knock your friends or anything, but I just kind of smiled and nodded. And the second person standing there turns to the hostess. So she's not even speaking to me directly. And she says, "But journaling is so much important because it matters to the family." And it's, and I'm just like, I need to put some hors d'oeuvres in my mouth right now. So we can learn several things from this. First, validation does not come from other people. It definitely doesn't come from other people who don't value you or what you do. So these are things that sometimes, we run into in various forms, whether this is family, whether this is friends, whether this is coworkers, whether this is the people that I just imagine saying this out there on the internet who are not actually saying this or anything. But there comes this point at which, okay, am I really a valid author? Am I doing good stuff? Was this all a mistake? Did I slip through a crack somehow and they didn't mean to choose mine? Did what there's so many things we can talk ourselves into with this. And so we need to have some other ways to assess our success and our value and our achievements than what other people say, because frankly, other people are not terribly trustworthy and don't always have your best interest in mind. So here's what I say, like, the IRS says I'm a professional. I pay taxes. That makes me a real writer. Okay. I am a professional author. And I think, for those of you in Canada, which I think is pretty much everybody except me, I believe that is the CRA. There's your excuse. You can get to say that. So yes, that is my quick and dirty, later in the same holiday party, somebody said, but real authors do this. And I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? It's not what I said out loud. Out loud, I said, yeah, but I am a real author and I do this kind of thing. Then I gritted my teeth a lot and went home. But the idea here is that, and I say the IRS says I'm professional, and I say that just a little flippantly, but also with real accuracy. I am getting paid to write things. People give me money to tell stories about my imaginary friends. Okay. Like, that is phenomenal. That is cool. And I need to value that, because jump back, 10 years or so, that was the dream. Okay. That was the pie in the sky. Someday this will happen. And I need to recognize that, yeah, it did happen. Okay. It did. And it's happening right now. So, yeah. And I have no idea, like, I can't see faces. I would love to know, how this is going. Like, am I connecting here? Or is this just me having a therapy session live on the internet? But I'm hoping that people can recognize the value of knowing how to, what am I trying to say? Knowing how to assess your progress and knowing how to assess what you're doing. And I'm sorry, that wasn't me like trying to scold people into turning on the cameras. You're welcome to turn on your cameras. Thank you. Hi. I was just meaning, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to tell over here if I'm saying things that actually are relevant to anybody, because we're separated by a little bit of distance and some pixels. But here, so, okay, I am a real author. The IRS says I'm a real author. This is where I'm going, but I would like more success. Okay. And that's completely valid. Okay. I achieved goal 1. I got publication, I got paid, I got my book in a store, I got a signing, I got, a short list, I got an award. Okay, these are all things I'm going to note, and all things I'm going to celebrate. But I never wanted to stop there. I want to keep going. And then when things slow down, as they naturally do, because what we talked about at the beginning, everything is huge. And then as you're going forward, it feels less huge. And so it's easy to start getting discouraged because I'm not making the huge milestones all the time, because I can only publish my first book once, right? So I'm not going to hit that milestone again. I'm probably not going to hit that emotional high in quite the same way again. Okay. But I want more success. So, okay, sorry, I'm just catching in. Zoe says, oh yeah, that's nice, but what do you really do for a living? Right? Yeah. And here's the thing, my day job's not cool either. Like, I think it's amazing. It's really cool, but it's, not as cool to some people. Oh, well. That's so sad. Oh, thank you, Wendy. Says appreciates my honesty. Yeah, I am very honest. So yeah, nobody has ever said, I wonder what Laura thinks. That's just never has been said. Here's the thing. We need to keep moving. And I shamelessly ripped this image right off the cover of my lead magnet, which is called People Are Like Sharks. And what it is, sharks have to swim or they die. If they stop moving, they can't breathe. They can't filter oxygen out of the water. So they have to keep moving. In the same way, if I want to keep developing and keep growing, I'm going to need to keep moving as well. Now I need to immediately throw in here a caveat. Sometimes life is difficult. Things happen personally, globally, whatever stuff goes on. In times of crisis, treading water is still moving. Okay, a shark can continue to breathe without migrating. Okay, it doesn't always have to be huge progress. So if you need to pull yourself back and set smaller goals for a time, because you have a child, you're moving, like stuff happens, whatever. Maybe there's a global pandemic and it just kind of affects things. That is completely valid. And in no way am I saying, oh no, how dare your publishing schedule slow down in 2020? Now you are a loser. That is not where I'm going with that. My publication schedule took a tank in 2020. But as long as I'm still thinking about, okay, as I get back together, these are going to be my goals. I'm recessing. I'm setting a new, instead of doing, all of this year, I'm going to do just this year and all of that. And I'm still just trying to be aware of what I want to do. I'm still making decisions. That's really, let me just simplify that down. I'm still making decisions. I can make whatever decisions I want as long as I'm making the decisions. What I don't want is to get into this, just float mode where I'm just letting stuff happen and I'm just reacting. I want to still be making conscious decisions. There are lots of things I can decide as long as I'm making conscious decisions. So let's talk about goals. And goals are, again, my day job is behavior. Sorry, guys, this is where we're going. My goals are not, it would be really nice if Steven Spielberg called me and wanted to make my movie. Okay, like that. Goals are, but I'm taking these steps to make this happen. Whatever you decide your goals are, those are very personal things. And I am not going to tell you that your goal is right or wrong. Okay, I'm going to tell you, choose goals that you can choose to make happen. All right. So if anybody's familiar with the group 20 Books to 50K, they're a online writing and publishing community. And I kind of like it. It's a fun little system to assess where I am in my career progress. And again, there's lots of ways to measure. Let me be very clear. There are lots of ways to measure progress that are not money, but this one is the money metric. And so that's the example we're using. We'll talk about non-money metrics here in a moment. But I love this because it has so many options and I can start right at the beginning. Did I make $1? Yay, I have a rank. Okay. Like I don't have to wait for several years to get to rank in this system. I can jump in right from the beginning. And so this is just a really fun, and then they've got little badges that you can put on your post. So if you're like, hey, this month I made lobster, and everybody goes, yay, you're a lobster, hooray. And it's one of those things, it's goofy enough that we can take joy in it without feeling, I'm getting to cheer being a lobster, right? Okay, so you can not have to take this more seriously than it needs to be taken. Whatever system you use, I'm going to tell you, you want lots and lots of cheers. You want lots and lots of milestones. You want to be able to achieve success frequently. One of the things that I talk about when I'm coaching clients and we're trying to work out a training plan, and we want a minimum of an 80% success rate. Of all the attempts that are made, I want this learner to be successful 80% of the time. That's not what we tend to do with our goals that we set for ourselves, career wise. Okay, so give yourself a little bit more chance to make it and be happy. You want your goals to be achievable, and you want aspirational goals. Okay, Kraken is not on my done list, right? It's probably not on my near achievement list in any way, shape, or form. But I love that it's out there because I can dream of being a Kraken. Okay, so it's also just really fun to say. But again, there are many, many types of goals, and I want to emphasize that cash is one type. It's certainly not the only type. If that's not what motivates you, great, find what does. Some writers that I've talked to want to promote giving to a certain charity. I know writers who don't keep any of their own royalties. All of it goes to a nonprofit. Fantastic for them. Their goal is promoting this charity, and it's not about their cash intake. Awesome. If as a writer, if a reader tells you your book changed my life, your book helped me to make something better, your book helped me to, I mentioned Fired Up. That's one of my training books, and I've had a number of people tell me, yeah, that book is written for animal training, but it's actually working with me and my own, social anxiety or whatever. That's fantastic. That's awesome. That's really hard to quantify in a money way. Okay, that's not a monetary achievement, but I'm thrilled that it happened, and I'm going to count that as a success. Okay, if I want to land that Amazon Prime or Netflix or whatever video adaptation, hey, that's a legitimate goal. I can have that as a goal too. It probably shouldn't be my only goal. Okay, I'm just saying that there are lots of things that I can have goals at. On the right on the slide, I have a list, and this is, I just copied and pasted this title, Unofficial Goals Indicating I Have Arrived. I started this list back in probably 2012, 2013, something. And I just have a list of everything that I thought of that would be cool to happen, right? And so some of these have happened, some of these have not happened. I just pulled out a sampler to throw on the slide here because I want you to see the different kinds of goals that I have on here. Licensed merchandise. Ooh, I've got t-shirts. How cool is that? When the first time somebody cosplayed as one of my characters, come on, like that's awesome. Fan art. Somebody wants to spend their leisure time playing in my world. How cool is that, right? Asked to write a pep talk for NaNoWriMo. It hasn't happened yet. Hey guys, call me. I'm out there. Okay, these kinds of things. And I put out there are some bestseller lists because I mentioned earlier, like not all bestseller lists are actually based on sales data. I think Amazon's is based on sales data, whether it's the best assessment of sales data, whether it's because it's a little more volatile and all of that. I don't care. Okay. The point is I can use that as a goal. And if it's not a goal that you're interested in, sweet, then it's not your goal. Okay. And I was looking at this when I was putting stuff on. I'm like, is Friday Reads still a thing? Like, I don't know. It might be Twitter history by now, in which case, my goal is out of date and they need to update them, kind of thing. So as you're setting your goals, and this is not wholly new, you've definitely heard these things before, but instead of a result, list the step you're going to take. And that is your goal. The result is not your goal. Okay. My goal is not to lose 10 pounds. My goal is to choose to include a vegetable in my meal. Okay. Does that make sense? So I'm not setting results as goals. I'm setting steps as goals. And the one that I like to use a lot in writing applications is, I'm not going to say I'm going to have 12 stories published this year. That's probably not my call unless I'm going to self-publish all 12 of those stories. That's not my decision to make. I have no hold over those editors. What I can say is I'm going to submit 5 short stories, this quarter, or, whatever your personal thing is. And if I submit those 5 short stories, I've done my job, right? I've been successful. I've done what I set out to do. You can even take that and turn it into something a little more distinct. I'm going to get 5 rejection letters this month. That's my goal. Oh no, I only got 4 rejection letters and 1 contract. How terrible. Like I failed in the best possible way. But when you set yourself, my goal is to get 5 rejection letters, and if that doesn't sound good to you, then go with 5 submissions, whatever works for your brain. But I've achieved my goal. It's not about, I didn't achieve the thing that was beyond my control. Okay, whether or not the editor took it, I did the thing that I could do. I kept moving. Okay, so we're going to prioritize because there's a lot of things shouting for our attention here. Oh my gosh, how did it get to be this time? I thought I was going to be really, really short. Let me run through this really quickly. I need to make the choices about which of my goals are most important to me. That is going to involve making choices about which steps I take. Okay, so let me move very, very quickly. There are lots and lots and lots of choices that can be made. Just make conscious choices. Don't just float along and let somebody else tell you what your goal should be to make more money or to do whatever. Make your conscious choice. Track things. You do not know how much progress you're making if you're not tracking things. And because then you're just left going with, how does it feel? Do I feel good about this? Oh, guys, emotions are the worst indicator. Emotions are just, did I eat lately? Okay. You need hard data. And the biggest thing I'm going to emphasize to you, and I've got some things we could break down about these numbers, but I'm not going to do it at this time. But the biggest thing I can emphasize to you is the data is there to help you. It's just a number. The data does not bring judgment with you. And so it's something that I say a lot. I do a weekly live stream on the business of creativity, and my poor people are so used to me saying the data does not judge you, right? And if you're looking at this going, but I was frightened by a spreadsheet when I was a small child and I have never recovered, I don't know how to get started. On my website, I have some spreadsheets for authors. You're welcome to crib off them. I have some free stuff and some stuff that costs $1. So, use what you want. But a lot of times we avoid assessing because we don't want to be disappointed, right? Oh man, I looked at my sales and they weren't up, so I don't want to look at my sales. Or this is why people don't read reviews, right? All of these things. I'm just going to say, look, the data does not judge you. I need to know what my numbers are, so I know where to focus my priorities. I know what choices, I need to know what choices I need to make about where I'm going next. If I look at this and I say, oh, my sales figures were this, therefore I am a terrible person and I'm not a real writer and all of this stuff. Whoa, 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 whoa. The numbers did not say that. Okay. You're letting something else say that through the numbers voice. Just don't let that go there. It's just a number. It is just a number. Not all data matters. Okay. I did a poll and then I invited additional feedback from my newsletter subscribers. And, hey guys, this is some stuff that I'm thinking about doing. What do you think? And I got one back, person who's like very definite. I do not like this sort of thing. This is not what I want to see. This is not what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, good. That's perfectly valid opinion. Person went on to say, I don't pay for fiction. Hey, guess what? I sell fiction, right? If you don't want to pay for fiction, that's fine. That's your choice. But I'm not going to prioritize your feedback over paying readers' feedback, right? My actual customers are going to get more say in that. Same thing about don't get distracted by the vanity metrics. Zoe, my website is lauravab, that's VictorAlphaBravo.com. Will be on the final slide whenever I get there. So again, don't get distracted by vanity metrics. If you're the kind of person who does get distracted by checking your number. If you're trying to check your sales daily or something like that, don't do that to yourself. Limit, just like some people should not get on the scale daily, or that kind of thing. Just limit the amount of opportunity you give yourself to fret. Set yourself up to make conscious decisions about what you want to achieve. So, oh, sorry. Brandy said I gave up hilarious answers. Yeah, I want people to feel comfortable responding to my polls. Oh, I don't know why this is not showing up here on the screen. Okay, but anyway, what it says is do not flitter around to every guru on the interwebs. There are lots of people who are trying to get rich in a gold rush. They're not looking for gold. They're selling stuff to the prospectors. Okay. And there are lots of people, you can't get traction if you're changing your strategies and tactics every week, right? So give yourself some time, see where you're going, that sort of thing. And okay, here, I'm just going to emphasize this. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. I think it may have been Seneca who said this. I don't know. You have to know what your goals are so you can know what opportunities to say yes to and what opportunities to say no to. Not every opportunity needs to be taken. If it's not actually in line with your goals, it's not actually forward progress, but you have to know your goals in order to do that. And I am so sorry that we ran a little bit long and I didn't have as much discussion time over. I actually have nowhere to go in the next 5 minutes or so. So if you have questions, I will hang out and address them. And if you need to go catch another presentation, then I am sorry that I ran late. Thank you for hanging out with me. My website is Laura VAB, it's Laura VanArendonk Baugh, but nobody wants to spell that. So lauravab.com. And thank you guys. I am so sorry. So, oh, thanks. Thank you for the comments that you found it insightful. That's good. Yay. See, not all achievements are monetary. Yes, I really appreciate those comments. Thank you so much. So yeah, if you guys have questions, I'll hang out. If you need to go have an awesome conference. Bye. Talina, the spreadsheet I showed, that's actually my AMS spreadsheet, which I don't think is on the website. I would have to check. Oh no, the snapshot spreadsheet is a simple one, just where I'm tracking lots of social media metrics, book sales, how many newsletter subscribers I have, that sort of thing. That's something I do monthly. And I just want to see, like, is my newsletter growing or is my newsletter shrinking? What do I need to do, with that? So that's what the snapshots is. So thank you guys. Thank you for your comments. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, the AMS spreadsheet's not on there because I'm still, I think I probably should put it on there because at this point it's pretty, it's pretty solid. I've stopped messing with it. So maybe I'll put it up there. But yeah, I just want to see, what am I spending on ads? What are coming back? What was a good idea? That kind of thing. So maybe I'll add that in all my free time this weekend. I'll try to get that up. So. All right. Any other questions? You guys need to go somewhere, or you have questions? You can actually turn on your cameras and voices if you want to chat. I think there's just a couple of us here. If you actually want to just ask questions directly.
I don't have direct questions. I just like saying hello.
Yay! I'm glad you said hello. I was going to say, it looks like people are going. That's totally legit. There are other places to go. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for hanging out. And let's see if I can get out. I don't know where I am. Here we go.
And hi. And hi from me as well, Laura. It's good to see you. I was just going to reply that I do have a spreadsheet. I kind of do it like a summary spreadsheet, but I don't have my ROI on there, which I thought was a really intriguing metric to measure. And I'm like, oh, I should really have that. I just kind of have is it red or is it black at the end of the day?
Yeah. And but, let me go back. So can I get back there? Oh, maybe not. Hi. There we go. This bit where I have it set to turn green if it hits certain numbers, that is 100% not because it's useful. It's 100% because I want to be adrenaline surge. I hit green, and but they're not always that like you notice that one of those I spent 14 cents. So it's not that my ads were really that amazing. It's that I spent 14 cents. So my ROI looked amazing. So you still have to assess the big picture. But yeah, I don't like doing accounting, actually. That's not where my joy is. So building in things that make me feel like I'm doing a good job helps me to do it. So yeah.
I'm on that page with you. That's totally how I'm at. I call numbers the creativity killer.
Oh, Zoe, I'm sorry. I just saw your question. I'm Laura VAB on Twitch as well. And yeah, if you want to let us know who you are. Oh, Polykiss. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, and I think I don't remember if I'm Laura VAB or Laura_VAB. I'm one of the two on Twitch, because not everywhere can I get the same username because somebody took it. Okay.
It might be
All right.
with the underscore. I can't remember.
I don't know. I think it's the underscore. I don't know. It's one of those two. All right. I'm going to let you guys go to other sessions. Thank you for hanging out and have a great night.
Yes, it's always good to see you.
Yay.
Bye.
Yeah. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay.